All right, guys, welcome to the Shooting Foundation video this week. This week, we're going to talk about reloads. And then we're going to get into a little bit about why reloads are so important. Not just to get your bullets in the gun, obviously. We want to be able to get those bullets into the gun quicker so we can shoot faster and be on target sooner so you have more time to score points. This week's Shooting Foundation, the reload is what we're going to be talking about. It's all about getting that reload, showing you how to do it efficiently, and get it to where it's consistent. I'm going to show you a trick this week on how to get your pistol reloads consistent every time, all the time, no matter how you're moving, no matter where you're going, you'll always have a consistent reload. All right, let's get into it. So, first off, start off with empty firearm. Always make sure your mags are unloaded, your gun pistol's unloaded. Most important thing during dry fire, guys. The other thing is while you're doing these dry fire drills, it's good to have a mirror. And if you don't have a mirror, really need to video this stuff, guys. Even if you have that mirror, it's really good to video. Because if you video, you can slow it down and go back and really look at where your technique and your flaws are. Because you can actually hit some of these mag reloads really easily. Some of the reloads are going to be really easy for you guys. The problem is where does that fumble come? Where does that one where you jam it into the bottom of the firearm where it doesn't work well? What is that? What did you do on that one that makes you have that mistake? So you're trying to eliminate that mistake during the match. It's okay to have mess ups and have screw ups during these practices because that's how you get better. So don't, if you're failing a lot and you're missing that reload all the time, don't worry about it. You're going to have those. That's why you do it during dry fire so that you're not doing it during a match. All right, guys, so let's start off with where you have the firearm in your hand while you're doing a reload. I'm going to show you guys a couple of reloads real quick. I'll face you and then I'll face away to kind of show you guys my technique and what you have to start looking for the reload. I'll try to do it kind of half speed. Maybe I'll do a couple full speed. I haven't really reloaded a whole lot recently with my pistol because of the PCC Nationals that comes up here in a couple of weeks. So I've been really focusing on that. But after that, I'm going to go back to Carry Optics and start banging out some of the pistol work that I need to put back in to get back up to where I want to be. I am 1% away from a Grandmaster in Carry Optics, so that's my goal next. And here's the other thing. Since I mentioned it, let's break into that a little bit. You need to set goals for this sport, right? If you set goals for this sport, you need to, it's the best way to get better, right? If you don't set a goal for the sport, it's going to be difficult for you to get better. If you're just doing practice and you're just out there shooting and you're not even, you don't have a goal to get to. And I don't mean a goal as in I just want to be a Grandmaster or I want to be a B shooter or an A shooter. You have to set goals on how to get that final goal, right? And those goals need to be, I need to start banging a half a second reload. I need to start making my draw, a second compared to 2 seconds for a draw. These are little goals that you have to set yourself in this sport. And if you don't set those goals, it's going to be very difficult to ever get that large goal. Small goals keep you motivated. It keeps you in the sport because it gets very frustrating because being perfect in this sport is impossible. I'm working on it. I've been trying. I'm a perfectionist. It's the hardest thing that I have to deal with in this sport is trying to be a perfectionist for a sport you can't be perfect at. You can have perfect moments. You can have perfect reloads, but to have an overall perfect is almost impossible. So try to learn to accept that because I still haven't. If you figure out how to accept that, someone hit me up in the comments and let me know because I struggle with it on a regular basis trying to get better at it all the time. All right, so I'm going to draw, reload, shoot, drop, and reload again. All right, here we go. All right, so I can tell I haven't practiced in a little while. All right, guys, so on this one, I'm going to draw, shoot, reload, shoot, reload. Here we go. All right, one more time. I'm going to draw, shoot, reload, shoot. Here we go. I'm going to slow it down a little bit so I can show you guys some of the ways and the little few techniques that I've learned on how to make those reloads consistent. First things first, practice. You have to practice what I teach you or it's worthless. It's not going to help you if you don't practice this stuff. This stuff really works, I promise. The timer, you need to get a good timer. It will really help you. I use the AMG Commander. I really, really like it. It's one of the best timers you can buy out there. It has a 10 sensitivity for the dry fire. So when you actually draw your firearm and pull the trigger, you can hear the hammer hit and the timer picks it up. So it's telling you what your draw is. You'll get a draw. And then if you put it on a par time, you'll be able to see how those reloads went as well. So you can actually draw, get a time for that, and start to get times for those reloads so you can start to see where you need to improve. All right, so first things first is I have a really good grip on the firearm, right? So after I pull the trigger, I have a good grip on the firearm. It's bang. Now, the first thing I want to do as soon as that trigger's pulled is I want to start to drop that magazine, right? Now, I have pretty good size hands. I have a firearm that requires good size hands, unfortunately, so I didn't really pick a small firearm to shoot. So what I have to do is I kind of have to switch that, throw that gun into the thumb to get that mag release, right? So once I drop this hand to go for the mag, now I have to turn my gun a little bit. If you guys notice, when I reload, the gun's straight up and down, right? It might be turned a little bit so I can get it into my hand, but I definitely have that gun straight up and down. I want that mag to fall out quick. If I try to drop it and I have my hand sideways, you see how slow the mag release is? Or how slow the mag falls out? Anytime you have that magazine and it's not in there straight, it's going to drag slowly, okay? The other thing is you'll see a lot of times when people get stuck and their mags get stuck, they start shaking the magazine, right? So then the mag gets stuck. Now they're doing this. What happens is you're giving the magazine contact. So now it's going back and forth in the mag well and falling out instead of just letting it fall on its own. That's part of the problem with the mag drop. When you start to do that, you start to lose that magazine. If that magazine starts to get friction, and now it's just going to take longer to fall out. So you don't want to do a mag flip, right? I've done it because my mags got stuck and you're in frantic mode and everything else, but your goal is to get rid of that magazine straight down. So while you're shooting, you have to drop that mag. You just want to keep that gun straight up and down. You don't want to turn that gun until it's time to receive that magazine, right? So as I drop that magazine, I'm bringing the gun back and then I'm loading. Okay, so that's number one. Get the gun turned a little bit so you can get that mag release. You have to get to that mag release for the mag drop. If you don't hit the mag release cleanly and the mag doesn't fall out, you can't put a new magazine in the gun. That's number one rule. Get rid of that magazine. Number two, and this is where the efficiency part comes in. This is what we talk about efficiency all the time with the mags, with reloading and shooting and moving, and everything that I talk about is the efficiency. So while you're dropping that magazine, you need to be bringing it backwards at the same time, okay? Now, why is that important? Again, doing two things at one time. If I leave the gun out here like this, and I drop the magazine, and I wait for the magazine to fall out, and then I bring the gun back, it's costing me time on the actual reload part, okay? I need that magazine back into my firearm, or this is worthless. This is the most important part of your firearm while you're shooting. If you don't have a magazine in with bullets, this thing is literally worthless. It doesn't do a darn thing. The bullets are the most important part of your firearm. Without a bullet, this gun doesn't even cycle. It has to have bullets to cycle. So that's why this is so important. You have to put a big emphasis on getting the bullets back into the gun. As soon as you change your mindset that the bullets are really important during a reload, you're going to change the way you shoot. You're going to change your scores. You're going to change everything you do about shooting when you start making everything but the shooting fast. All right? Okay, so on this, you're going to, as you drop that magazine, right? Now I've switched my hand. Now the first thing I'm doing with this left hand is I'm dropping it to the mag, right? So I need to be able to unload this firearm, drop this magazine with one finger, one hand. I don't need this hand to do anything. I just need this gun turned so I can drop and start to go for that new mag, okay? So, two things that are really important about the new mag. you want to finger out, and when you go for this magazine, you want to lock this arm in, right? So once you grab the mag, you want to lock that elbow in against your shoulder, or I'm sorry, against your side. And I'm going to show you why. So once I lock it in, well, let me go back to the why the finger needs to be out. This finger, when you do a sweep, okay, when you go to sweep your mag, will give you a point of reference on reloading, right? We already talked about the point of reference with the finger for shooting, right? If I was to draw and I just point my thumb, or I point my thumb in the air, I have a point of reference on actual aiming. It's the same thing with this. With your finger on the end of the mag, you have a way of basically aiming the magazine into your firearm. If you grab it at the bottom, which anybody who's reloaded a pistol quickly understands that you don't grab this thing correctly, and now you're trying to grab it now and you're trying to smash it in there and it's just going back and forth and up and down, you have no control. When you grab the end of the mag, like this with your finger, so basically you're going to be touching the bullet, right, on your mag pull. So when you go to pull your mag, your finger's at the bottom of the mag well, or your mag pouch. So bang, then you're going to slide all the way up. Now, if you look, I'm on the end of my bullet, right? I'm on the end of my bullet. So the reason I'm holding that bullet is so when I come around, see my hand? It's going to aim it for me. So as soon as that finger points at it, I can start to let it slide out, get it out of the way, and then I can start to push with an open hand. Finish. And then I'm immediately going into my grip. All right? So one of the big things about the reload and doing it properly is that you're able to get back onto the gun again. If you don't get that reload finished and you can't get your grip, let's just say you have a great reload. You bang that reload, you really finish it well, and then you get a grip like this, right? You grab the gun bad. Well, then all that speed that you had on the mag load, on that actual reload, was pointless, because now you've put yourself to where you have to start, you've taken all the advantage from that magazine reload, that quick reload, and now you have to start over with a crappy grip, right? Anybody who's shot with a crappy grip knows it's not fun. So you want to fix that if you can beforehand by having good fundamentals on the reload. So I'm going to come up, shoot, drop the mag. Now I'm coming up with my finger. Now I'm going to finish. Now this is where I'm talking about with locking your arms in, okay? Let's go where when I drop my magazine, I want to bring my arm in at the same time, right? And I want to lock it into my shoulder. I want to lock that into my chest so it can't move. And almost in the front of your body if you can. The reason why is because it'll force you to hold your firearm up by your neck, okay? And the reason why you want to reload around your neck is you don't have to take your eyes off of what you're doing, right? It's right in your face. You can see it coming up. So when you go to reload, all you have to do is look for a quick second, and once that magazine is entered into the magwell, you can take your eyes off that magwell and just finish it with your natural movement. With your hand, bang, grip, shoot. You should be starting to get back on target immediately after you finish that reload. So basically, let me rephrase that. You want to get back on target with your eyes or where you're running to after the magazine enters. You only need 1 or 2 bullets into the magazine for it to go in straight. Once you get the first 2 or 3 bullets in, that magazine's a quarter of the way in. It's ready. You can just hammer that thing home and get ready to shoot. Okay? Again, get the magazine in first before you take your eye off. Start to really see that. Once you see it get in there, then you can take your eye off and start looking at that target so that as soon as you finish the reload, you can start to look up. So I'll show you a good example, right? So I'm going to bring it back, bang, drop it, bring it in, reload. Now look, I've already got the mag in. Now I'm finishing shooting, right? So I got the mag in about a quarter of the way in. Now I can start to look up, finish, and shoot, okay? A couple of different things about the reload and why it's all about being consistent, okay? And this is how you become consistent with a reload. You have got to lock in your arms, right? We have natural movements with our arms. They have angles that are natural, right? So if your firearm is here, sticking out like this, and you're way out in the open, okay? And you try to reload out here, now you're fighting 2 different problems. You're fighting this arm, and you're fighting this arm. So now this arm, instead of just coming where it naturally wants to go, now I have to force it out here, right? You can get away with a lot of things reloading if you have a magwell. I like to call those magwells 5-gallon buckets because if you get anywhere close, it's going to enter the gun. But the biggest thing is I don't like to train with magwells because I feel like it becomes a crutch for me, right? Just me personally. This has nothing to do with anybody else, but me personally, I feel like my training got better when I got rid of the magwell. So I started shooting things that didn't have magwells and I got better. So the first thing I did was I picked up a production gun. Then I went to single stack for a little while, and everybody who shot single stack in 1911 knows you're either a great reload or it's not a great reload. There's no in between with a 1911, even with their magwells. So the biggest thing about it is to lock those arms in. You've got to lock your arms in when you're doing a reload, okay? And let me explain. So right here I'm facing you. I'm going to drop the mag. As I bring it back, I'm dropping the mag. Now, if you look, I have my shoulder and my arm and my chest, my pec, squeezed together, right? So now I'm locked in. So I can turn my body like this and the firearm isn't going anywhere. There's two things that are really important about that. Number one, it keeps you from breaking the 180 and getting a DQ. Because right now, unless you turned your whole body, look, now I am facing 180 and I haven't broke 180 with the firearm, okay? I'm facing 180 when I haven't broken the firearm. Where you start to break the fire with the 180 is when you start letting this thing get loose and you start coming in here like this, right? And as soon as I turn, I broke the 180, okay? So again, it's two things that I like about it. One, it keeps you from breaking the 180. Number two, it locks my arm in a solid position. That means I'm no longer fighting this arm and I'm no longer fighting the gun. The gun just stays right in the middle, period. It stays right in the center because I have it. If you also look, as I bring my arm in and I lock it in, it's at my neck. It's right around eye level, okay? Yes, you can reload lower, but when you do, it keeps you from bringing the gun up faster, okay? There's many ways to do this sport. Many ways to do this sport. So always remember that when you listen to what I'm telling you about coaching. I'm not trying to tell you that your way can't be done. It absolutely can. I'm showing you efficiency and speed. And the most important thing that I am trying to show you is consistency. Consistency is what this sport is all about. You have to be consistent or you're never going to move up and stay up, right? It's not just about moving up, guys. I don't want you to go up to A and be an awesome paper shooter and then shoot matches and be shooting around a C or B level. I want you guys to be some of the best shooters that there are in the world, period. I don't care who you're shooting against. I want you to be able to compete against those guys, and you do that with consistency. Consistency. It's the most important thing about our sport is being consistent. That's the top level shooters always have it. You got to have it as well. All right, so lock this arm in. Now, here's the other important part about this arm. This is where you start to lock this arm. After you get this reload, you lock this arm in. Now, it's kind of weird when you first start because you technically aren't really locking this arm in, but I'll show you what I mean by locking it in. It's up tight against my chest for a reason because my arm naturally goes to this firearm because of where I'm locked in. So right now I'm locked in. I'm going to sweep for the mag. Now watch. Goes right to the, now watch the angle of where the gun goes and where the magazine goes. It's right there every time, right? So if I sweep and I bring my elbow back in tight, I'm going to go right into the firearm, okay? Every single time. I'll do it again. I'm going to come up, shoot, reload. It's right there. If I would just do it properly. It's right there every time, right? I don't move this arm. This arm stays, and I bring this magazine up, okay? I bring it up, look, bang. There it is. I'm locked into that position. This gun stays still. This right arm stays still. I don't move this right arm. I leave it where it is. So all I have to worry about is aiming this magazine. That's it. And you don't even have to aim this magazine. All you have to do is just look real quick to make sure that you're not off a little bit. Okay? Here, drop, bring it in, boom. Every single time. The gun is always in the same spot, right? It's bang, drop. The gun is in the same spot every time. All I have to do is just turn it right, turn the angle, and load the gun. It's that simple. I mean, every single time it comes to the same spot. Pointer finger, I got my pointer finger every single time. Bang. Just comes in every single time to the same exact location because I have everything locked in. As soon as I start getting my arms far away from my body, I start bringing my arms out and I try to reload out here, look where my actually natural arm measurement is. You see where I'm at? I'm actually hitting my wrist right now. Okay? You'll see this big gap in my arm. You can see the gap in my arm here. So as I start to try to reload, now I have to aim this instead of it just coming to the right point. Now I'm gonna close that elbow. I'm gonna close that elbow and you're gonna see where I just go right into the mag well. Okay? So I'm gonna bring it back out. There it is. Now, if I don't come out and I got to bring it all the way up, you can kind of see where the angle of the magazine is always at the back. All right? It's always at the back because I don't have this arm pulled in. So now I want to pull this arm in and then I can just bring it up. Now again, if you look, I'm going to stop right. I'm going to do a reload real quick. I'm going to try to do a quick one. And I'm going to show you, I'm going to freeze my arms to show you where it is. All right, right there. If you look, see the gap? There's no gaps between my arms. There's no gaps. I'm locked in here and I'm locked in here, right? So I'm using my body as points, right? So now I have points of contact on my chest where that arm needs to be. So when I bring that arm in, I have a point of contact. When I bring this reload up, I have a point of contact. It's the same thing with shooting a rifle. When you have 3 points of contact and you're sitting on a bench, you have more control. All right, it's points of contact, guys. You're locking that arm in and you're dragging that magazine up and bang, it's quick, it's super easy. And once you learn to bring that arm back to the same spot, let me show you what it's like after you do the reload. Once you lock those arms in, right, you finish the reload, let me show you guys the trick and why it's so much faster if you bring your arms in and you bring everything in tight to get back on target. So what did we talk about in the draw video? All right, in the draw video, I said bring it out, up, at the chest, and drive it out. So look what happens when you finish a reload. All right, up, bang, drop, bring it in, finish. Look where I'm bringing it from, guys, from the chest again. Now, after the reload, I'm able to drive that firearm back out. Guys, consistency. Every single thing I'm teaching you is going to compound on top of another and another and another. You will have this system for the rest of your life. You will always be able to draw that firearm the same exact way. Even if you haven't practiced a whole bunch, if you follow this system, I promise it works. You're going to always have that draw to be up by the chest. Once you finish the reload, bang, it's all the same. It's all muscle memory. You will be able to shoot without ever thinking. You'll just be able to shoot. All right, guys, we'll see you on the range.